Why are you learning English? Are you going to pass one of those international English exams like IELTS, TOEFL, or PT? Or you're just trying to improve your general English? Well, if you're going to take one of those international English exams, you have to know that they are proficiency tests. What does it mean? It means that you need two things to pass these exams. One, you need to have knowledge of the language. Two, you need to have skills to use that knowledge, which again means improving your general English. Let me give you an example. Imagine you want to run a marathon and you're already a good runner, you have good control and you're breathing, you have strong muscles, you have stamina, and so on. So if you go to a trainer, the trainer can tell you about ins and outs of the game, the rules, and tell you a few points to be careful about, and then you can go and earn a medal. But if you are not a good runner already, then no matter how much that trainer gives you about the rules, about the points to be careful about, you're still going to go to that marathon and fail. So the same thing is true with English. For passing successfully these international English exams, you need to improve your general English. And what do I mean by improving general English? Well, I mean you have to read and listen to authentic materials and learn vocabulary, grammar, and critical thinking from these materials, and probably read a few vocabulary or grammar books if need be, and take all this knowledge of vocabulary, grammar, and critical thinking and bring it to the writing and speaking area and produce authentic language. And I've been using the word authentic. What does it mean? It means identical or very close to the real world. Let me tell you this experience of mine. Maybe it helps clarify what the meaning of authentic. When I was younger, I went to English classes term after term, year after year, and I reached levels intermediate or upper intermediate. But still, when I watched English TV channels or English radio channels, and I went to the real English world, I felt a stranger there. I felt like I did not understand much of what they were saying or what I was reading. Well, if you have had the same experience, you should know one thing. The more authentic are the materials you study in an English class, the better you understand the real world of English. And probably that's why a lot of credible international English exams like IELTS, they discourage you from focusing only on test taking strategies, and they encourage you and invite you to go to the real world and study authentic materials. And for this, I want to refer to one of the most credible books in this area, the official Cambridge Guide to IELTS. Well, in this book, we have it on page 84 of the book. We have a study tip that reads, to achieve the best IELTS score, focus on learning vocabulary, grammar, and building your reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills as a part of your preparation. Don't just focus on test taking strategies. And there's another tip on page 67 that reads, look online or find out if your local library has copies of international newspapers and magazines. Read the education, health, or science sections of newspapers such as the Times, the Guardian, the Australian, the New Zealand Herald, the New Yorker, the Washington Post for reports on academic studies. Of course, the book was unable to continue the list. The list is, of course, longer than this. There are other authentic newspapers like New York Times or other authentic magazines like Time, like Scientific American, like National Geographic. And speaking of National Geographic, I think now you understand why you have to study the World English series. This book is published by National Geographic publication, and you're already familiar with some of these publications. books already. If you remember the book Active Skills for Reading, it was a joint publication of National Geographic and Cengage, Cengage Learning. And this book, this World English series, is an amazing series that gives you a taste of the real world. This is authentic material, and I want to show you why this is authentic material. Let's go through the first unit of the third book of the series, the third sequel of the series, World English 2. Well, uh, in the first unit of this book, the theme is food. And on the first page, you see there is a photo. On the first page of every unit, there's a photo which engages you with the topic. And this book is unafraid to expose you to authentic words. Like you see it even in the caption of the photo in the first on the first page. Uh, Words like harvest, words like high density, words like greenhouse, and as you move on to the actually uh, first page of the unit, part A, you see an idea, tips for a healthy diet. There are pieces of advice here, or there are tips here that you can agree or disagree with. You can add to these tips, and as you see, the words are again authentic words, and you learn the meanings of these words here. There's a word focus part every now and then in some pages that gives you a deeper understanding of the words. And in the listening part of this unit, you listen to a real rice farmer telling you about the different steps in growing rice. Isn't that amazing? You really learn how rice is grown. And on the next page, you have a type of speaking question that I want to draw your attention to. I read the question in part E. Do you try to buy local foods from farmers in your area? What are some advantages and disadvantages of doing this? You see, it happens a lot in some exams like IELTS exam. In either speaking or writing part, you see questions like this. And it requires you to have thought of this before and have formed some ideas around it. So that's why I say this book is amazing because it not only gives you the vocabulary and grammar you need, it also gives you the ideas you probably have to work on. And as we continue in the next part, you learn about different groups of food, different categories like grains, like vitamins, protein, and well, we reach some one of my favorite parts of every unit, the reading passages. This is probably the first time you can more clearly see what I mean by authentic material. In this reading passage, you learn about a diet that I think most of us have never heard before, the paleo diet. And the text goes through the philosophy of this diet, why some people have this diet, and there's a lot of discussion around it, and there's a lot of critical thinking you can practice here. And you see the type of questions here. I just give you this as an example. Of course, there are other examples in other units. In part D, you see a type of question that I honestly have not seen in any of the proficiency tests I've been involved with, like IELTS, TOEFL, and Cambridge ESOL tests, exams. Uh, if your students, if the learners can pass this part, can answer the question here, believe me, they're going to feel a lot more comfortable with a lot of questions in some exams like IELTS. And of course, after the passage, there is a part for a little discussion, a little more critical thinking, and the text is nice. You have to see it for yourself, see the sentences, see the words, and see the authenticity of the text. And of course, in the last part of every unit, we have a writing section that tells you about the basics and the things you need to know to have a good writing, a good piece of writing, actually. So this part here is about main idea and supporting details, and you have examples you go through. And finally, each unit is concluded with a video journal part. In this video journal part, you see an interview with two American bakers. And believe it or not, this can be even broadcast on some English TV channels, like a normal program that Americans or British people or other English-speaking nations see. So in here, you see two bakers speaking absolutely naturally in their mother tongue. But the thing is that the book has taken into consideration the point that the questions are tailored to your level. It means you're not going to be asked difficult questions about the task, about the video. And yeah, you see a real language part again in here that tells you about some expressions used in English language. Generally, it's really amazing. And that's only the first unit of this book. So if you have not decided where to start, I think this is a good point. I've been teaching this book for more than 6 years now in private sessions. But I think this book works better in group classes, and I'm running the group classes right now. If you're still searching for a good point to start, I think this is it. Don't miss it.